I heard the roar of a diesel engine, looked out the window, and saw Karen driving a bulldozer straight at my shed. Not knocking, not asking, full speed. She was screaming from the cab like she was in a demolition derby. "You were warned," she shrieked, gripping the wheel in one hand and a crumpled HOA violation notice in the other. The only problem? That shed she was aiming for wasn't a shed. It was a classified military satellite uplink and data relay station, camouflaged as an innocent outbuilding. And I wasn't just some random guy who liked backyard projects. I was an active-duty DIA contractor with clearance levels she couldn't even spell. That shack had more encrypted hardware in it than the average CIA field office. And the second she crossed that line, legally and physically, Karen did a lot more than violate HOA bylaws. She triggered a federal emergency response. Let's rewind. My name's Kyle. I'm 36, technically retired military, but still active in contract intelligence work. I live just outside a nice HOA-controlled suburb in Colorado. Peaceful, scenic, lots of fake smiles, and obsessively trimmed lawns. The kind of place where people report your grass for being a shade too tall. And like any classified contractor who needs a secure signal relay and encrypted gear, I had what looked like a basic tool shed out back. Except behind that aluminum siding were reinforced concrete walls, biometric locks, server banks, and direct military-grade uplink gear. It had taken 6 months of coordination with the Department of Defense to authorize the location. Karen, naturally, wasn't told that. She just knew I had a shed that was 2 inches taller than the HOA guidelines, didn't match my fence stain, and wasn't listed in the original property plans. At first, it was just passive-aggressive notes. Then a formal violation. Then another. I responded through official channels, said I had federal building exemptions, and provided the necessary redacted paperwork. Karen didn't care. "I don't care if the Pope signed off on it," she said, standing in my driveway. "It's an eyesore, and the HOA rules are the law here." I told her calmly, "Karen, federal clearance overrides HOA guidelines. I've already spoken to your board. You're pushing into dangerous territory." She squinted at me like I'd just spoken alien. "That thing comes down, one way or another." At the time, I figured she was just bluffing. I was wrong. Fast forward to 2 weeks later. I was inside the command center doing routine diagnostics on encrypted channels. Nothing too sensitive, but definitely not for civilian eyes, when I heard a weird grinding sound outside, like metal clanking over gravel. I paused, listened again. Then a massive mechanical thump hit the side of the shed. I opened the reinforced door, stepped outside, and there it was. A full-sized, rented bulldozer, bright yellow, parked inches from the outer wall. And in the cab, sitting like she was queen of the HOA, was Karen herself. No helmet, no license plate, just fury. "Last chance, Kyle," she shouted. "Move your stuff or I'm taking it down." I tried logic first. "Karen, you need to stop. That's federal property. You're committing a felony right now." She laughed. "I called the county, and they said I'm allowed to clean up code violations. You didn't listen, so I'm fixing it." Behind her, I noticed 2 HOA board members filming nervously from a safe distance. Even they didn't want to get involved. Karen pulled the throttle. The treads started grinding forward. She bumped the concrete base again. A second time. Not hard, but enough to set off an alert inside. That alert triggered a silent protocol wired into the building's security system. Within 60 seconds, a flash ping hit NORAD's regional base. Another 90 seconds after that, my encrypted line buzzed. "Asset 217B, said a cold voice over the line. "This is Tactical Oversight Command. Your relay unit just triggered physical interference protocols. Do you require immediate deployment?" I answered with one word. "Yes." They replied. "Response ETA, 7 minutes. Advise civilians to evacuate." Karen was still outside revving the bulldozer like she was auditioning for a Fast and Furious HOA edition. I walked up to her slowly. "Karen," I said, "I'm asking you nicely. Step away from the bulldozer. Go home. Pretend this didn't happen." She actually spit in the dirt near my feet. "You don't scare me. I know your shed's not legal. And I've got the guts to do what your little HOA board won't. She yanked the gear stick again and tapped the concrete wall once more. That was it. 6 minutes and 30 seconds later, right on time, 3 unmarked black SUVs tore up the street. Military grade. Bulletproof. No plates. No sirens. Just fast. They boxed in the bulldozer from every angle. Karen's eyes went wide. Before she could blink, 4 agents in tactical gear exited the vehicles, weapons drawn, but not pointed, and rushed to secure the perimeter. One calmly approached Karen with a clipboard, while another began scanning the structure with a handheld device. "Ma'am," the agent said, "you are interfering with a federal communications facility operating under DoD Directive 3-11B. This is a restricted structure under Title 18, Section 1382 of the U.S. Code. Step out of the vehicle now." Karen gawked. I'm the HOA president. I'm enforcing local code." The agent didn't flinch. "Ma'am, this isn't local code. This is national security." By now, neighbors had come out to watch. Half the street had their phones out. Some were recording. A few started clapping quietly. Karen was escorted from the bulldozer and placed in a chair on the lawn, while 2 agents questioned her. She kept yelling that she was just trying to protect property values. Meanwhile, inside, I met with the lead officer and confirmed that no sensitive files had been breached. "Appreciate the quick response," I said. "Didn't expect her to actually use a bulldozer." The agent nodded. "People like her usually don't know when to stop. Good thing the structure held. If she'd breached the firewall system physically, we'd be dealing with a whole different level of escalation." Outside, Karen's voice got louder. "I want a lawyer. This is harassment. He's lying about that building." That's when the lead agent calmly walked over, crouched down to her eye level, and handed her a single sheet of paper. It was a declassified summary of the structure, approved for limited civilian release in the event of interference. It listed the building's protected status, the punishment for tampering, and Karen's name typed neatly under subject of interest. "You're free to call a lawyer," he said, "but I'd recommend starting with an apology, and maybe reviewing your HOA manual. It doesn't override federal law." Karen's mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. She had nothing left to say. As the agents continued their sweep, neighbors gathered like it was a front row seat to karma. Phones were out, whispers flew, and someone even brought a lawn chair. Karen sat frozen, red in the face, her bulldozer idling behind her like a monument to her stupidity. I overheard one of the tactical agents on the radio. "Confirmed. Structure integrity intact. Minor external impact. No breach." Karen tried to get back up and plead her case again, but another agent gently motioned for her to stay seated. "Ma'am, you're currently a witness in an active investigation. You're not under arrest yet, but keep talking, and that could change." I didn't smirk. I didn't gloat. But inside, I was soaring. Another agent pulled me aside and asked for my incident report. I handed over my body cam footage, including the moment Karen slammed the wall with the dozer. He reviewed the footage for 10 seconds and nodded. "Thank you, sir. This will support the internal prosecution request." Internal prosecution. That's when it hit her. Karen jumped from the chair and started pacing like a caged animal. Wait. I didn't mean to damage anything. I just wanted to enforce the code." The agent responded, "Ma'am, by operating unauthorized heavy machinery on private property and interfering with the classified structure, you violated multiple federal statutes. Whether you meant to or not is no longer the point." 2 of the board members stepped forward then, visibly sweating. We didn't know she'd go this far. We didn't approve this." The lead officer narrowed his eyes. "Did you fund the equipment rental?" They both went silent. Then one mumbled, "We reimbursed her, technically, but we didn't know it was a federal building." Now they were under review. Turns out, Karen had used the HOA petty cash fund to rent the bulldozer. Without a vote, without a permit, without insurance. Just an angry woman and a crazy plan to flatten what she thought was an illegal shack. They confiscated the bulldozer, hauled it onto a flatbed with evidence spray-painted across the treads. Karen watched it get towed away, like it was her child. 3 hours later, she received a formal federal notice of violation, along with a $125,000 fine for equipment misuse, national security interference, and unauthorized destruction attempt on federal property. That's not counting the lawsuit I filed personally. The best part? The HOA had to hold an emergency meeting that night, and Karen was unanimously voted out, permanently. Even her best friend on the board didn't back her up. When she tried to protest, the president-elect read aloud a letter from the Department of Defense stating her actions had endangered sensitive operations and would be monitored indefinitely. Karen moved out a month later, quietly. No goodbye, no farewell wine party. Her house went up for sale, and nobody ever really saw her again. The legend of Bulldozer Karen still lives in the neighborhood group chat, though. Someone even made a meme of her riding the dozer with a speech bubble that says, "I am the law." But my story didn't end there. A few weeks later, I got another call from the DIA's liaison office. They were so impressed with my composure and response that they offered me a part-time civilian training role, teaching others how to handle local interference incidents professionally. Now I get paid to train other agents and to keep an eye on potential Karens in the wild. Titan, my service dog, even got a medal. No joke. They mailed it in a small velvet box with a letter of commendation. He wore it on his collar for a full week. If there's one thing I learned from all of this, it's that entitlement doesn't care about boundaries. But justice? Oh, it always catches up. And when it does, it's beautiful. So if you like this story and want more wild HOA showdowns, entitled neighbor takedowns, and stories where justice actually wins, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell. Trust me, you do not want to miss the next one.